I built this house for us. Your betrayal tore it apart.
The wine glasses in the sink told me everything I needed to know about my marriage being over. 2 glasses, lipstick on one rim. Not Tessa's shade. She wore cherry red, not this burgundy crap. The other glass had fingerprints, too big for her delicate hands. I stood there in my kitchen at 1:54 a.m., still wearing my work boots from the flight that never happened, staring at evidence of my wife screwing another man in our house. The storm that grounded my plane to Denver had seemed like bad luck 12 hours ago. Now it felt like divine intervention. I'd been married to Tessa for 8 years, built her the dream house she wanted on Maple Street, 3 blocks from Lake Huron. Painted every room the color she picked, installed granite countertops because she said they were sophisticated. I even put in heated bathroom floors because my wife had cold feet about everything except, apparently, adultery. The shower upstairs was still damp, towels on the floor. Not our usual towels. These were the expensive Egyptian cotton ones Tessa kept for guests. I guess her boyfriend qualified. I found his cologne bottle on my nightstand. Armani Code. $50 a bottle. Which meant this wasn't some random pickup. This was planned, organized, a relationship. My phone buzzed. Text from Tessa. Hope your flight went smooth, honey. Miss you already. Wine and bath, then early bed for me. Love you. I screenshotted it, added it to a new folder in my photos labeled Evidence, because that's what construction project managers do. We document everything. 3 more texts followed. Did you make it to the hotel safe? Ethan? You must be exhausted. Call me tomorrow. At XOXO, I typed back. Landed fine. Dead tired. Talk tomorrow. Then I grabbed a beer and sat in my basement workshop, thinking about the last 6 months, the sudden girls' nights, and the new gym membership. The way she'd started showering immediately after coming home from showings. The credit card charges at hotels I'd never been to. I'd ignored it all because I'm a damn idiot who believed in wedding vows. But I'm not stupid, and I don't stay stupid. By 4 a.m., I had a plan. I stayed home sick the next day, called my foreman Jake and told him I'd caught something on the plane. He bought it. Guys in construction get sick all the time from job sites. Tessa kissed my forehead before leaving for the office, all concerned and wife-like. Poor baby, she said. I'll bring you soup tonight. The second her Mercedes pulled out of the driveway, I was moving. First stop, her home office. Tessa kept everything organized in color-coded files because she was obsessive about her real estate business. Made her good at selling houses, terrible at hiding affairs. I found the hotel receipts in her business expenses folder. The Lakeside Inn, the Harbor View Hotel, places 20 minutes from our house, not across the state where she claimed to be showing properties. Receipts for champagne, room service for 2, spa treatments. The dates matched her big showings perfectly. I photocopied everything. Tessa had taught me that. Always keep copies of important documents. Next, I checked our shared laptop. She'd cleared the browser history, but she'd forgotten about auto-saved passwords. Her email account opened right up. The first message I found made my hands shake. Ben, last night was incredible. I can't stop thinking about your hands on me. E is so clueless. Building his little projects while I build something real with you. Can't wait until Saturday. Same room? T. Ben's reply. Your husband's a joke, babe. All those muscles from construction work and he can't even keep his woman satisfied. Saturday can't come fast enough, literally. I read 37 emails like that, each one filthier than the last. Each one describing in detail how boring I was, how predictable, how adequate in bed, how Ben was everything I wasn't, spontaneous, dangerous, exciting. The last email was from 3 days ago. T. He's leaving for Denver tomorrow. Want to christen the master bedroom properly this time? I'll bring the good wine. B. I printed every single message. Then I went upstairs and found Tessa's secret phone hidden in her jewelry box. Not very secret when you know where a woman hides things she doesn't want you to find. The phone was filled with photos and videos I won't describe here, but let's just say Ben was very proud of himself, and Tessa was very accommodating. I uploaded everything to a cloud drive, made backup copies, saved it all on 3 different devices. By the time Tessa came home with chicken soup from the deli, I was back in bed looking appropriately sick. How are you feeling, honey? She asked, feeling my forehead. Better now that you're here, I said. How were the showings today? She didn't even blink. Tough clients. The Williams family's being very picky about their budget. There was no Williams family. I'd checked her appointment book. That night, after she fell asleep, I went back to my workshop and started planning. Real planning. The kind of detailed, systematic approach I used for construction projects. Phase 1, intelligence gathering. Phase 2, preparation and positioning. Phase 3, execution. Phase 4, completion and cleanup. I opened a new notebook and started writing. Ben Mathers worked at PowerFlex Gym on Industrial Boulevard. I knew this because Tessa had mentioned her trainer a few times. Always in passing, always casual. She'd even suggested I meet him once. "He's really helping me get in shape," she'd said. "Maybe he could help you too, baby." I'd laughed and patted my stomach. I get enough workout swinging hammers all day. Now I knew what kind of workout she'd been getting. I drove to PowerFlex at lunch the next day. Told Jake I needed to pick up materials, which wasn't a lie. I needed materials for what I was building, just not the kind he'd expect. Ben was easy to spot. 6'2", bleach blonde hair, tank top showing off biceps he'd probably named. He was training some housewife on the leg press, standing way too close, hands on her thighs, correcting her form. I watched him for 20 minutes. Watched him flirt with every woman in the place. Watched him check his phone constantly, probably texting my wife between sets. He was exactly what I'd expected. A predator who specialized in bored married women with disposable income. I walked up to the front desk and signed up for a membership. "Great choice, sir," the college kid behind the counter said. "Will you be needing personal training services?" "Maybe," I said, watching Ben in the mirror. "That blonde guy looks like he knows what he's doing." "Oh, that's Ben. He's really popular with the ladies." The kid grinned. "But he's booked solid for the next month. His clients love him. I bet they did." That evening, Tessa was unusually affectionate, cuddly, guilty, more like. "I was thinking," she said, curled up next to me on the couch, "maybe we should take a vacation soon, get away from everything." "Sounds nice. Where did you have in mind?" "I don't know, somewhere tropical? We could just lay on the beach, drink umbrella drinks, reconnect." "Reconnect? That was rich." "I'd love that," I said, stroking her hair. "We haven't had time alone in months." She snuggled closer. "I know I've been busy with work lately. I'm sorry if I've been distant." "You haven't been distant," I lied. "You've been working hard. I'm proud of you." The guilt was eating her alive. Good. My phone rang. Jake. "Ethan, we got a problem at the Morrison site. Electrical inspection failed. Need you here first thing tomorrow to figure out what went wrong." "I'll be there," I said. Tessa looked disappointed. "Another early day?" "Yeah, but it shouldn't take long. Morrison's been smooth sailing so far." She brightened. "Well, if you get done early, maybe we could do lunch." "That new place by the marina?" "I'd like that," I said, knowing I'd be too busy following her to lunch with her boyfriend to eat with my wife. After she went to bed, I sat in my workshop and studied the photos I'd printed from her phone. Ben lived in the Riverside apartments, drove a silver Ford Mustang, and apparently spent most of his free time at sports bars hitting on women. I made a list of his regular haunts, his work schedule, his social media posts. The man documented his entire life online, which made surveillance embarrassingly easy. Ben Mathers thought he was smart, stealing another man's wife. What he didn't realize was that he picked the wrong husband to humiliate. The Morrison job was straightforward, a wiring issue that took 2 hours to fix. By 10 a.m., I was parked across from PowerFlex, watching Ben arrive for work in his Mustang. He was late. Strolled in like he owned the place, probably because he knew half the women in town would reschedule their lives around his availability. I followed him inside, changed into workout clothes in the locker room, and positioned myself on a bench press where I could watch his first client. She wasn't Tessa. She was a redhead in her 40s, wedding ring catching the light as Ben helped her with squats. Same routine I'd watched yesterday. Too much touching, too much eye contact, too many compliments about her form. I worked out for an hour, listening to Ben's pickup lines, watching his technique. He was smooth, I'd give him that. Professional enough to avoid maltreatment complaints. Personal enough to make desperate housewives feel special. At 11:30, he checked his phone and grinned, texted back immediately. My phone buzzed 5 seconds later. "Honey, something came up at work. Rain check on lunch? I'm so sorry. Love you." I texted back, "No problem. Work first. Love you too." Ben finished with his client and headed for the locker room. I waited 5 minutes, then followed. He was on the phone, back turned, voice low. Yeah, babe, I cleared my afternoon. No, he's at some job site fixing wires like a good little electrician. Lakeside Inn, same room. I already checked us in. I memorized every word. When he hung up and turned around, I was tying my shoes on the bench behind him. Excuse me, I said. You're Ben, right? I've been watching you train clients. Very impressive. He puffed up like a peacock. Thanks, man. You new here? Yeah, just joined. My wife's been talking about getting a trainer. Says all her friends rave about some guy named Ben at Powerflex. Figured you must be good. Your wife's got good taste in trainers, he said, flexing unconsciously. What's her name? I might know her. Tessa Graves. His whole face changed. For just a second, panic flashed across his features before the smooth mask slipped back into place. Oh yeah, Tessa. Great lady. Really dedicated to her fitness goals. That's what she tells me. Says you've been very hands-on with her training. He laughed, but it sounded forced. I give all my clients personalized attention. I bet you do. I stood up, made myself look casual. Well, maybe I'll book a session soon, learn some of your techniques. Sure thing, man. Just talk to the front desk. I walked away, leaving him standing there wondering how much I knew. Not enough to do anything about it yet, but enough to plant seeds of doubt. That was the thing about guys like Ben. They were confident until they realized they might get caught. Then they started making mistakes. I was counting on those mistakes. That afternoon, I called in a favor from my buddy Tom, who worked at the county clerk's office. Tom owed me for helping him finish his basement last spring. I need you to look up some property records for me, I said. Quiet-like. What kind of records? Ben Mathers, Riverside Apartments. I want to know what he owns, what he owes, who he owes it to. This about a job? Personal project. Tom understood. In construction, we all did favors without asking too many questions. An hour later, he called back. Your boy's in deep, Ethan. 3 credit cards maxed out, behind on his car payment, owes his landlord 2 months' rent. Also got a DUI last year that cost him a chunk of change. What about employment history? Bounced around a lot. Got fired from 2 different gyms in the past 3 years. Sexual maltreatment complaints at the last place, but nothing stuck. I wasn't surprised. Men like Ben left trails of destruction wherever they went. That evening, Tessa came home glowing. Literally glowing with that post-sex flush women get when they've been thoroughly satisfied. How was your day, honey? She asked, kissing my cheek. Productive. Fixed the Morrison problem. Got caught up on paperwork. How about you? Busy day showing houses? Super busy. Had to drive all over the county with this demanding client. I'm exhausted. She certainly looked like she'd had a workout. Maybe you should take a bath, I suggested. Relax those sore muscles. That sounds perfect. You're so thoughtful. While she soaked upstairs, I checked her phone. New messages from Ben. You're incredible. Still thinking about this afternoon. Same here. E suspects nothing. He's clueless. Asked about taking a vacation together. How sad is that? Very sad. Poor bastard has no idea his wife prefers real men. I screenshotted everything and added it to my growing collection. The next morning, I drove to the Lakeside Inn and had a friendly chat with the desk clerk, a kid named Danny who looked like he could use some extra cash. I'm trying to surprise my wife, I told him, sliding a $100 bill across the counter. She's been meeting a client here for real estate business. I want to send her flowers to the room, but I need to know when she'll be there next. Danny looked around nervously. I'm not supposed to give out guest information. I added another 50. It's for a good cause. Anniversary surprise. Money talks, especially to college kids making minimum wage. Room 247, he whispered. She's got it booked for Friday afternoons through the end of the month. Always pays cash, always with the same guy. Thanks, Danny. You're helping me make my wife very happy. I wasn't lying. I was going to make her ecstatic right up until the moment I destroyed her life. Friday morning, I told Jake I had a dentist appointment. Instead, I drove to the Lakeside Inn and waited in the parking lot. Tessa arrived first at 1:15 p.m. She'd left work early, telling me she had a big showing that afternoon. She parked away from the main entrance and hurried inside, head down, sunglasses on. Ben showed up 10 minutes later in his silver Mustang, music thumping, probably thinking he was hot crap meeting another man's wife for afternoon zex. I waited an hour, then walked into the lobby like I owned the place. Took the stairs to the second floor, found room 247, and pressed my ear to the door. I could hear them clearly, laughing. Tessa's voice, higher pitched than usual, fake breathless the way she used to sound when we first started dating. "He actually thinks I'm working late tonight," she was saying. "What's he gonna do, follow you?" Ben laughed. "Well, guy probably doesn't have the balls. He's so predictable. Home by 6, dinner by 7, asleep by 10. It's like being married to a robot. A broke robot. You said he's still paying off the house? 23 more years on the mortgage. Meanwhile, you're young, successful, free. It's not even a contest." I recorded every word on my phone. 20 minutes later, I heard movement inside. Time to go. I was back in my truck when they came out, Ben first, then Tessa 5 minutes later. They didn't even try to hide it. Kissed goodbye right there in the parking lot like a couple of teenagers. That night, Tessa was distant again, distracted. She picked at her dinner and went to bed early with a headache. I stayed up late in my workshop, planning the next phase. See, guys like Ben think they're untouchable because they prey on women who can't fight back. Women who have too much to lose if their affairs come to light. They never expect the husband to fight back intelligently. But I wasn't just some betrayed husband stumbling around in the dark. I was a project manager. I knew how to plan, how to execute, how to see problems before they became disasters. And Ben Mathers was about to become my most successful project ever. I spent the weekend researching Ben's background more thoroughly. Social media made it pathetically easy. The man posted his entire life online. Instagram showed him at various bars around town, always with different women, always looking like he was hunting. Facebook revealed his interests: expensive cars he couldn't afford, designer clothes, exotic vacations financed by credit cards, and probably his married clients. LinkedIn was the most interesting. He'd been fired from 3 gyms in 5 years, each time leaving under mysterious circumstances before popping up somewhere else. The pattern was clear. He'd seduce clients until someone complained or someone's husband got suspicious, then he'd move on. PowerFlex was just his latest hunting ground. Monday morning, I called PowerFlex and asked to speak to the manager. "Hi, this is Ethan Graves. My wife Tessa is one of Ben's clients, and I wanted to discuss some concerns about their training sessions." The manager, a woman named Lisa, sounded immediately defensive. "What kind of concerns, mister?" "Graves?" "Well, Ben's been texting her at all hours, asking to meet outside the gym for additional training. He's also been quite physical during their sessions, touching her inappropriately, making suggestive comments. My wife's uncomfortable, but doesn't want to hurt his feelings." "I see. Has she spoken to Ben about maintaining professional boundaries?" "She's tried, but he keeps pushing." "Look, I don't want to cause trouble, but if this continues, I'll need to take it up with corporate or possibly the police." There was a long pause. "Let me have a conversation with Ben today. I'm sure we can resolve this professionally." "I appreciate that. My wife really likes working out at PowerFlex, but she needs to feel safe." I hung up knowing that Lisa was now watching Ben like a hawk. One more complaint, from anyone, and he'd be gone. That afternoon, I positioned myself at the gym again and watched Ben train his 3 p.m. client, a brunette in her 30s. Sure enough, Lisa was hovering nearby, taking notes. Ben noticed. His usual touchy-feely routine was notably subdued. He kept glancing at Lisa nervously, clearly wondering who had complained. When he finished the session, Lisa called him into her office. They talked for 15 minutes. When Ben came out, he looked shaken. He immediately texted someone, probably Tessa, warning her that there might be heat. My phone buzzed a few minutes later. "Hey, honey, I'm thinking of switching gyms. The trainer I've been working with is getting a little too personal. Makes me uncomfortable." I texted back, "Good instinct. Trust your gut. Want me to check out some other places for you?" "That's sweet, but I can handle it. Maybe I'll just work out at home for a while." Perfect. Now Ben was losing his cover story and his hunting ground simultaneously. That evening, Tessa was quiet during dinner. Distracted, worried. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Just work stuff. Some complications with a client. Want to talk about it?" "No, it's fine. I'll handle it." She went to bed early again, but I heard her on the phone in our bedroom, voice low and urgent. I couldn't make out words, but the tone was clear: damage control. The next morning, I called in sick again and drove straight to Ben's apartment complex. Riverside Apartments was a rundown complex near the industrial district, the kind of place people lived when they were between better options. I found his Mustang in the parking lot and waited. At 9:30 a.m., Ben came out looking like hell, unshaven, wearing yesterday's clothes, moving like he had a massive hangover. He fumbled with his keys, dropped his phone, cursed loudly enough for the neighbors to hear. Perfect. Stressed people made mistakes. I followed him to a Starbucks, where he ordered a large coffee and sat in the corner booth, head in his hands. His phone was face up on the table, buzzing constantly. I walked over and sat down across from him. Mind if I join you? All the other tables are taken. He looked up, recognition dawning slowly. You're Tessa's husband. Ethan, I said, extending my hand. We met at the gym. He shook it reluctantly. Right. Ben. You look rough, man. Late night? Something like that. He sipped his coffee, eyes darting around like he expected trouble to walk through the door. I wanted to thank you, I said. Thank me? For training my wife. She's been so much happier lately, more energetic. Glowing, you might say. His face went pale. Just doing my job. She talks about you all the time. Says you really know how to push her limits. Ben's hand trembled slightly as he reached for his coffee. I try to give all my clients a good workout. I'm sure you do. I leaned forward. Must be tough, though, losing your job at the gym. What? Lisa fired you this morning, didn't she? Sexual maltreatment complaint? Third one in 5 years, from what I hear. Ben's eyes widened. How did you... Small town, Ben. Word travels fast. I smiled pleasantly. Especially when someone's been making the rounds with married women. He started to stand up. I don't have to listen to this. Sit down. Something in my voice made him obey. Here's what's going to happen, I continued. You're going to stop seeing my wife. You're going to delete her number, block her on social media, and if she tries to contact you, you're going to ignore her completely. You're crazy. Am I? Let's see. I pulled out my phone and showed him a photo from their hotel room. That's you and Tessa in room 247 at the Lakeside Inn last Friday. I have about 40 more just like it. Ben's face went white. I also have the emails, the text messages, the hotel receipts, and a recording of your conversation where you called me a broke robot with no balls. I put the phone away. Want to revise your assessment of my mental state? What do you want? I want you to disappear. Leave town. Tonight. I can't just leave. I have a lease. Bills. You're behind on your rent anyway, and your car's about to be repossessed. Consider this a fresh start. Ben looked around desperately like he was planning to run. And if I don't, then these photos go to everyone you know. Your family, your friends, your future employers. I'll post them on every social media platform, every job board, every dating app in the state. By the time I'm done, you'll be unemployable and undateable. I leaned back. Or I could just send them to your parole officer. My what? DUI conviction last year came with probation, didn't it? Pretty sure violating the morality clause by seducing married women would be grounds for a violation. I smiled. 6 months in county lockup should give you time to think about your life choices. Ben was sweating now. You're bluffing. I pulled out another phone, Ben's phone, which I'd lifted from his table while he was staring at my photos. Your passcode is 1234. Really, Ben? That's embarrassingly lazy. I scrolled through his messages. Look at this. Texts from 12 different married women. Photos that would make a porn star blush. And what's this? Messages from someone called Desperate Diane asking you to leave her husband alone? I looked up. How many homes have you destroyed, Ben? He grabbed for the phone. I pulled it back. Answer the question. I don't know. It's not like I keep count. Well, I do, and you just ran out of numbers. I stood up. You have until midnight to be out of town. After that, I start making calls. You can't do this. I can, and I am. The only question is whether you're smart enough to take the easy way out. I dropped his phone on the table. Midnight, Ben. Don't test me. I walked away, leaving him sitting there with his head in his hands and his world falling apart. Just like he'd done to God knows how many husbands before me. Ben was gone by 10 p.m. I know because I was watching his apartment from my truck. He loaded everything he owned into his Mustang, 2 suitcases and a gym bag, and drove off toward the interstate without looking back. Tessa didn't know yet. She'd texted him 6 times that afternoon, each message more frantic than the last. Ben? Lisa said you quit. What happened? Please call me. I'm worried. Ben, answer your phone. I need to know you're okay. Did someone complain about us? We can fix this. I'm coming to your apartment. Your landlord says you moved out? Where are you? I'd read them all on his phone before giving it back to him. Watching my wife panic over losing her boy toy was almost as satisfying as watching him pack his pathetic life into a 10-year-old Mustang. When Tessa came home that night, she was a wreck. Red eyes, makeup smeared, hands shaking. Rough day? I asked. The worst. I lost a huge client. Deal fell through at the last minute. I'm sorry, honey. What happened? She collapsed on the couch next to me. He just disappeared. One day we're negotiating terms, the next day he's gone. No explanation, no forwarding address, nothing. That's terrible. Is there anything I can do? Tessa looked at me with such genuine pain that I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Just hold me, she said. So I held my wife while she grieved for the man who'd been screwing her in hotel rooms and calling her husband a pathetic loser. I stroked her hair and made comforting noises while she cried for her lost love affair. It should have been the end of it. Ben was gone, Tessa was devastated, and I could have confronted her about the affair and maybe salvaged something from our marriage. But I wasn't interested in salvaging anything anymore. See, during those weeks of surveillance and planning, I discovered something about myself. I liked the hunt. I liked the strategy, the patience, the careful execution of a plan. I liked watching people who thought they were smarter than me realize how wrong they were. Most of all, I liked winning, and I wasn't done winning yet. The next phase began a week later. Tessa had been moping around the house like a teenager who'd lost her phone. She tried to hide it, but grief has a smell, and our house reeked of it. She barely ate, barely slept, barely spoke except to answer direct questions. I played the concerned husband perfectly. Maybe you should see someone, I suggested over breakfast. A counselor or therapist? You've been under a lot of stress lately. I'm fine, she said, stirring sugar into coffee she wouldn't drink. You're not fine. You're depressed. There's no shame in getting help. I said I'm fine, Ethan. But she wasn't fine, and we both knew it. That afternoon, while she was showing houses to actual clients, I went through her things again. The burner phone was gone, probably thrown away when Ben disappeared. But I found something better in her jewelry box. A key card from the Lakeside Inn, room 247. She'd kept it as a memento, a physical reminder of her great love affair. I pocketed it and drove to the hotel. Danny was working the front desk again, looking bored out of his mind. Hey, Danny, remember me? Surprise flowers for the wife? His face lit up. Sure. How'd that work out? Great. Thanks to you. Listen, I need another favor. I slid 100 across the counter. My wife left some things in room 247, personal items. I'd like to get them back before housekeeping throws them away. Danny looked around nervously. I'm not supposed to let guests into rooms without proper ID. She's still registered under Tessa Graves. I can show you my ID. Same last name. Just want to grab her stuff real quick. Another 50 joined the first 100. I guess it would be okay, Danny said. But make it fast, and if anyone asks, you were never here. Deal. Room 247 was exactly what I'd expected from a cheap affair hotel. Generic furniture, thin walls, a bed that had seen more action than a combat medic. But it was clean, and it smelled like expensive perfume and desperation. I searched every inch of that room. In the nightstand drawer, I found a bottle of massage oil and a pair of earrings that definitely belonged to my wife. Under the bed, I discovered a tie that was obviously Ben's. Silk, probably cost more than he could afford. But the real prize was taped to the underside of the bathroom sink. A flash drive. Ben had been making videos. I plugged it into my laptop and found 6 hours of footage spanning 3 months. Not just Zach's, though there was plenty of that, but conversations, intimate discussions about their future together, about leaving their respective partners, about starting fresh somewhere else. In one video, Tessa was crying. I feel so guilty, she said. Ethan's a good man. He doesn't deserve this. But you deserve to be happy, Ben replied, and you're not happy with him. I know, it's just, we've built a life together. The house, our friends, everything. So we'll build a new life. Better life, you and me. What if he finds out? He won't. Guy's too trusting for his own good. Besides, what's he going to do about it? He needs you more than you need him. In another video, they were planning their escape. I've got some money saved, Tessa said. Not much, but enough to get us started somewhere else. Where do you want to go? Somewhere warm. California, maybe. Start over completely. What about your business? I can sell real estate anywhere. It's not like I'm emotionally attached to this place. This place, our home. The town where we'd met, where we'd been married, where I'd built everything I thought mattered. The last video was recorded just 2 days before I confronted Ben. Tessa was pacing around the hotel room, excited, talking fast. I think he's getting suspicious, she said. He asked about my schedule yesterday, wanted to know specifics about clients. Maybe we should be more careful. Or maybe we should just do it. Leave. Tonight. Are you serious? Why not? We've been talking about it for months. I'm tired of sneaking around, tired of living a lie. What about the money? I thought you needed more time to save up. Tessa smiled, and in that smile, I saw the woman I'd married disappear completely. I've been skimming from our joint account for months, she said. He never checks the statements. I've got almost $30,000 saved up in a separate account. $30,000. Money I'd earned swinging hammers and managing construction sites while she planned her new life with her boyfriend. I copied everything to multiple drives, then put the original flash drive back where I'd found it. Walking out of that hotel room, I felt something I hadn't expected, relief, because now I knew exactly who I was dealing with, and I knew she deserved everything that was coming to her. 3 weeks after Ben disappeared, Tessa was still a ghost of herself. She'd lost weight, developed dark circles under her eyes, and started drinking wine with breakfast. She'd also stopped pretending to care about our marriage. I need some time to think, she announced one evening. Maybe I should visit my sister in Portland for a few weeks. If that's what you need, I said. You don't mind? Of course I mind. But if it helps you feel better, then go. She booked a flight for the following weekend, first class, on our credit card, to visit a sister who lived in Sacramento, not Portland. Another lie to add to the collection. The night before her flight, she was packing upstairs when her phone rang. She answered on the first ring. Hello? Hope in her voice. Desperate hope. Her face fell immediately. Oh. Hi, Mom. I listened from the hallway as she made small talk with her mother, her voice flat and lifeless. When she hung up, I heard her crying. Not the gentle tears of sadness, but the ugly sobs of someone whose world had collapsed. Part of me wanted to walk in there and comfort her, tell her I knew about Ben, that we could work through it, that people made mistakes and marriages could survive infidelity. But then I remembered the videos, her laughing about how clueless I was, her stealing $30,000 from our joint account, her planning to disappear without a word, leaving me with a mortgage and a broken heart and no explanation. So I walked downstairs and poured myself a beer instead. The next morning, I drove her to the airport. Call me when you land, I said, kissing her goodbye. I will. I love you, Ethan. Love you too. She walked through security without looking back, pulling her suitcase behind her like she was dragging the weight of her guilty conscience. I waited until her plane took off, then drove straight to the bank. I need to see the manager, I told the teller. It's about unauthorized withdrawals from my joint checking account. The manager, a woman named Patricia who'd handled our mortgage, looked genuinely concerned when I explained the situation. Your wife has been systematically transferring money to an external account without your knowledge, she asked. That's right. Small amounts at first, then larger chunks. Almost $30,000 over the past 6 months. Patricia pulled up our account records on her computer. I can see the transfers here. All legitimate from a banking standpoint. She's an authorized user on the account. But if you're saying these were made without your consent, they were. I never authorized any transfers, and I was never informed about them. That's technically financial fraud, even between spouses. Do you want to file a formal complaint? Not yet. I want to give her a chance to explain when she gets back from Portland. Of course. But in the meantime, I'd recommend converting this to a single user account to prevent any additional unauthorized activity. Within an hour, Tessa's access to our joint account was frozen. The separate account she'd been funneling money into, which she'd stupidly opened at the same bank, was also flagged for suspicious activity. That afternoon, her Portland flight landed in Sacramento, exactly as I'd expected. I knew because I'd put a GPS tracker on her phone the week before, hidden inside the case where she kept her earbuds. She was staying at the Marriott downtown, room 412, registered under her maiden name. I called the hotel and asked to be connected to Sarah Mitchell's room. There's no Sarah Mitchell registered here, the desk clerk said. Sorry, try Tessa Mitchell. She might be using her middle name. One moment. Yes, connecting you now. The phone rang 4 times before she answered. Hello? Hi, honey. Just wanted to make sure you arrived safely. Long pause. Oh, hi, Ethan. Yes, I'm here. Just got to Sarah's place. Good. How's she doing? She's fine. Same old Sarah. Tell her I said hi. Are you feeling better already? A little. The change of scenery helps. I'm glad. Take all the time you need. I'll be here when you're ready to come home. Thank you. You're being very understanding about all this. That's what marriage is about, right? Supporting each other through difficult times. After I hung up, I poured another beer and started planning phase 3. Tessa stayed in Sacramento for 10 days. Every morning, she called to check in, her voice getting a little stronger each day as she convinced herself she was healing from her mysterious loss. What she didn't know was that I was using those 10 days to demolish her life systematically. First, I contacted every hotel within 50 miles of Sacramento and sent them Ben's photo, claiming he was a con artist who'd been scamming women at upscale establishments. 3 hotels confirmed he'd been there recently, always with different women, always paying cash for expensive rooms. Ben hadn't just disappeared, he'd relocated, and he was already back to his old tricks. I called each of the hotels and left detailed messages for him, all variations on the same theme. Your past caught up with you. Time to move again. Next, I visited Tessa's real estate office. Her broker, a sharp woman named Carol who'd always liked me, was sympathetic when I explained my concerns. Tessa's been distracted lately, I said. Missing appointments, forgetting to return client calls. I'm worried about her mental health, but I'm also concerned about her professional reputation. Has she been having personal problems? Carol asked. She won't talk about it, but something's been eating at her for weeks. She's seeing a therapist in Portland, trying to work through whatever it is. I've noticed some issues with her recent work. Nothing major, but clients have complained about her being unavailable or unprepared. I was hoping you might cut her some slack while she gets help. Maybe reduce her caseload temporarily? Of course, mental health is important. We'll cover her clients until she's feeling better. What Carol didn't realize was that by covering her clients, she was essentially giving them to other agents. Tessa's income would dry up within a month. Then I called our insurance company. I need to report a potential fraud situation, I told the claims investigator. My wife has been making unauthorized financial transactions, and I'm concerned she might also be misusing our insurance policies. What kind of misuse? She's been spending time in hotels with someone who isn't her husband, charging everything to our credit cards. If something happened, an accident, a liability claim, I want to make sure our coverage is protected. The investigator assured me they'd investigate any suspicious claims thoroughly. Finally, I visited our attorney. Dave Patterson had handled our real estate closings and wills. He knew us as the happy couple who always brought homemade cookies to meetings. I need advice about protecting my assets, I told him. I think my wife might be planning to leave me. Dave looked genuinely shocked. Ethan, I had no idea you and Tessa were having problems. Neither did I until recently. She's been secretive about money, disappearing for hours at a time, lying about where she's been. Classic signs of an affair. Do you have proof? I showed him some of the hotel receipts and bank statements. Nothing explicitly incriminating, but enough to establish a pattern. I want to file for legal separation, I said. Protect the house, the business assets, everything we've built together. Are you sure you want to take that step? Sometimes marriage counseling can... Dave, she stole $30,000 from our joint account. I found the records yesterday. His demeanor changed immediately. In that case, we need to move quickly. Financial fraud changes everything. Within 3 hours, I had legal papers drawn up freezing all our joint assets pending a financial audit. The house, the cars, the business accounts, everything would be locked down the moment Tessa returned from her fake healing journey. That night, she called from her hotel room, sounding almost cheerful for the first time in weeks. I think I'm ready to come home, she said. This time away has really helped me get my head straight. I'm glad. I've missed you. I've missed you too. And Ethan, I want to work on us, really work on us. I think we can be happy again. I'd like that, I said. When's your flight? Tomorrow afternoon. I should be home by dinner. I'll pick you up at the airport. That's sweet, but I can take a cab. You've been working so hard while I've been away. I insist. It's the least I can do for my wife. After we hung up, I sat in my workshop and looked at the evidence I'd compiled over the past month. Photos, videos, bank records, hotel receipts, text messages, everything needed to prove adultery, financial fraud, and abandonment. Tomorrow, Tessa would come home expecting to rebuild our marriage. Instead, she'd find out that our marriage was already over and she'd lost everything. I was waiting at the airport when Tessa's flight landed, holding a small bouquet of flowers and wearing my best fake smile. She looked better than she had in weeks, rested, hopeful. She practically bounced through the arrival gate, pulling her suitcase behind her like a woman with a new lease on life. "Hi, baby," she said, throwing her arms around me. "I missed you so much. Missed you too. How was the flight?" "Long but good. I did a lot of thinking. I hope it was productive thinking. Very productive. I know what I want now, what's really important." We held hands walking to the car, just like we used to when we were happy. She chattered about her sister and the conversations they'd had, painting an elaborate fiction about her healing process. I let her talk. There would be plenty of time for truth later. "Are you hungry?" I asked as we pulled out of the airport parking garage. "We could stop somewhere for dinner. Actually, I was hoping we could just go home." "Order pizza, open some wine, talk about the future." "Sounds perfect." The drive home took 25 minutes. Tessa spent most of it apologizing for being distant and difficult, promising to be a better wife, talking about couples therapy and renewed commitment. I made appropriate noises at appropriate times, but mostly I was thinking about the legal papers waiting on our kitchen table. When we pulled into our driveway, everything looked normal. Porch light on, lawn freshly mowed, flower beds Tessa had planted blooming cheerfully in the fading daylight. "God, it's good to be home," she said, squeezing my hand. Inside, I helped her with her suitcase, took her coat, asked about wine preferences, playing the part of the loving husband welcoming his wife home from a restorative trip. "Why don't you get comfortable?" I suggested. "I'll open a bottle of that Pinot you like." "That sounds wonderful. And Ethan? Thank you for being so patient with me. I know I haven't been easy to live with lately. Everyone goes through difficult times. What matters is how we handle them together." She kissed me softly. "I love you. I love you too." She went upstairs to change while I opened the wine and arranged the legal documents on the kitchen table next to the pizza menus and her favorite takeout chopsticks. When she came back down wearing yoga pants and one of my old college sweatshirts, she looked like the woman I'd married. Comfortable, familiar, home. Then she saw the papers. "What's all this?" she asked, picking up the top document. "Legal separation agreement," I said, pouring wine into 2 glasses. "I filed it 3 days ago." The color drained from her face. "What?" "I know about Ben." She set down the document like it had burst into flames. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Ben Mathers, personal trainer at Powerflex Gym. Silver Mustang, Riverside Apartments, partial to expensive hotels and other men's wives." Tessa's legs gave out. She collapsed into a kitchen chair, staring at me like I was a stranger. "I know about the Lakeside Inn," I continued. "Room 247. I know about the $30,000 you stole from our joint account. I know about the videos he made, the escape plan you two were cooking up, the sister in Portland who actually lives in Sacramento. Ethan, I know you've been screwing him for 6 months while lying to my face every single day." She started crying. Not the guilty tears I'd expected, but angry tears, frustrated tears. "How long have you known?" she asked. "Since your boy toy disappeared 3 weeks ago. You made him leave." I encouraged him to relocate. Permanently. Tessa wiped her eyes, and when she looked up, the woman I'd married was completely gone. In her place was someone harder, colder, more calculating. "So what now?" she asked. "You humiliate me with legal papers and kick me out of my own house? This isn't your house. It's my house. I bought it, I pay the mortgage, and according to these papers, you have no legal claim to it." "That's not true. We're married. Everything is community property." I slid another document across the table. "Not when one spouse commits adultery and financial fraud. Michigan is a fault-based divorce state, Tessa. Cheating wives don't get rewarded with half their husband's assets." She scanned the papers, her face getting paler with each page. "You can't prove any of this." I pulled out my laptop and opened the video folder. 6 hours of footage from your hotel room, you and Ben planning your new life together while spending my money and laughing about how stupid I was. The first video started playing automatically. Tessa's voice filled the kitchen. He's so predictable. Home by 6, dinner by 7, asleep by 10. It's like being married to a robot. I closed the laptop. Would you like to see more? Tessa stared at the blank screen for a long moment. When she finally looked up, her eyes were full of hate. You bastard, she whispered. I'm the bastard. I'm not the one who spent 6 months screwing a personal trainer while stealing money from our joint account. Ben made me feel alive again. When's the last time you made me feel anything? Apparently never, according to your video diary. She stood up, pacing around the kitchen like a caged animal. So what do you want? An apology? You want me to beg? I want you out of my house. Just like that? 8 years of marriage, and you throw it all away over a mistake? A mistake? Tessa, you were planning to disappear with him. You called it starting fresh. That's not a mistake. That's premeditated abandonment. I never went through with it. Only because he got scared and ran. If he'd stayed, you'd be gone right now, and I'd be sitting here wondering what happened to my wife. Tessa slammed her hand on the table. Fine. You want a divorce? You'll get a divorce. But I'm not walking away empty-handed. I helped build this life too. Actually, you are walking away empty-handed. Read the papers. She grabbed the separation agreement and flipped through it frantically. This is insane. You can't take everything. I'm not taking anything. I'm keeping what was already mine. The house is in both our names. The mortgage is in my name. You signed a quit-claim deed when we refinanced 2 years ago, remember? For tax purposes. Her face went white. You planned this? I planned for a lot of things, including the possibility that my wife might try to screw me over. Tessa's hands were shaking now. What about my car? Leased in my name. My credit cards? Joint accounts, which are now frozen pending the fraud investigation. Fraud investigation? $30,000 in unauthorized transfers, Tessa. The bank takes that seriously. She sat down heavily. You've thought of everything. I'm very thorough when I put my mind to something. So what am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? That's not my problem anymore. You made your choice when you decided to cheat on me and steal my money. Tessa was quiet for a long time, staring at the legal papers like they might spontaneously combust. Finally, she looked up. I need time to process this. Find a lawyer, figure out my options. You have until Sunday to get your personal belongings and find somewhere else to live. Sunday? That's 3 days. Should be plenty of time. You managed to plan a whole new life in 6 months. 3 days to pack a suitcase. Should be easy. She stood up, her face twisted with rage. You think you're so smart, don't you? So clever. But you know what, Ethan? You're still the same boring, predictable man you always were. Ben was right about you. Ben was a loser who got fired from 3 different gyms for sexual maltreatment and couldn't afford to pay his rent. If that's your idea of an upgrade, your standards are lower than I thought. At least he made me feel wanted. He made you feel used. There's a difference. Tessa grabbed her purse and headed for the door. I'm going to a hotel. We'll finish this conversation when I have legal representation. Take your time, I'll be here. She paused at the door. 8 years, Ethan. 8 years of marriage, and you're throwing it away without even trying to work things out. You threw it away the first time you screwed him. I'm just cleaning up the mess. The door slammed hard enough to rattle the windows. I sat alone in my kitchen, surrounded by legal papers and evidence of my wife's betrayal, and realized I felt better than I had in months. Phase 3 was complete. Now came the fun part. Tessa didn't just hire a lawyer, she hired the most expensive divorce attorney in the county. William Hartman had a reputation for getting cheating spouses more money than they deserved, mostly by dragging proceedings out until their sufferers gave up and settled. I found out because Hartman called me personally on Monday morning. Mr. Graves, this is William Hartman representing your wife in divorce proceedings. I'd like to schedule a meeting to discuss settlement options. I'm not interested in settling. Everything I want is already outlined in the legal separation. I think you'll find that Michigan law is more favorable to my client than your current documents suggest. And I think you'll find that adultery and financial fraud are still serious. Legal issues, regardless of your client's gender. Hartman's tone sharpened. Are you represented by counsel, Mr. Graves? Dave Patterson is handling my interests. I'll contact Mr. Patterson directly. But I should warn you, contested divorces can be expensive and emotionally draining for everyone involved. I'm prepared for both. I hope you are. My client is determined to fight for her fair share of the marital assets. After he hung up, I called Dave. Hartman's a shark, he warned me. He'll drag this out for years if he thinks it'll benefit his client. Let him try. I've got video evidence of her planning to abandon the marriage and steal community property. How's he going to explain that to a judge? He'll probably argue that the videos were obtained illegally. Hotel room was rented in her name, using our credit card. No expectation of privacy in a space I was paying for. Dave chuckled. You really did think this through, didn't you? I had a lot of time to plan while she was screwing her trainer. That afternoon, I got a text from an unknown number. We need to talk. Coffee at Midnight Beans on 5th Street. 1 hour. I showed up out of curiosity more than anything else. Tessa was already there, sitting in a corner booth wearing sunglasses indoors like some kind of celebrity avoiding paparazzi. She'd lost more weight. Her clothes hung loose, and she had that hollow-cheeked look people get when they stop eating properly. You look terrible, I said, sitting across from her. Thanks. You look smug. I feel smug. She pulled off the sunglasses. Her eyes were red-rimmed and exhausted. Hartman says you're being unreasonable. Hartman says whatever his clients want to hear. That's how he stays expensive. He also says the videos might not be admissible in court. Maybe not. But they'll definitely be admissible in the court of public opinion. Tessa's face went pale. What's that supposed to mean? Small town, Tessa. People talk. How long do you think your real estate career will last when everyone knows you're a cheating thief? You wouldn't. Try me. She leaned forward. What do you want, Ethan? Money? I'll pay back what I took from the account. It's too late for that. Then what? Revenge? You want to humiliate me? I want justice. This isn't justice. This is cruelty. I laughed. Cruelty? You screwed another man in our bed while I was working 60-hour weeks to pay for your lifestyle. You stole $30,000 and planned to disappear without a word. But I'm the one being cruel? I made mistakes. You made choices. Every single thing you did was a choice. The lying, the cheating, the stealing, all choices. Tessa started crying. Real tears this time, not the manipulative kind she'd perfected over the years. I'm sorry, she whispered. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I am sorry. Sorry you got caught. No, sorry I hurt you. Sorry I threw away what we had. We didn't have anything, Tessa. That was the problem. You wanted excitement, adventure, passion, all the things I apparently couldn't give you. So you went looking for them somewhere else. Ben was a mistake, a stupid, selfish mistake. Ben was a symptom. The disease was our marriage. She wiped her eyes with a napkin. So there's no chance, no way to fix this? Would you want to fix it, really? Even if I forgave you, even if we went to counseling and worked through the trust issues, would you be happy married to a boring, predictable construction worker? Tessa was quiet for a long time. I don't know, she finally admitted. That's the most honest thing you've said in months. She put her sunglasses back on. Hartman thinks we can drag this out for 2 years. Make it so expensive, you'll eventually settle. Hartman doesn't know me very well. No, but I do. You don't like conflict, Ethan. You never have. Eventually, you'll get tired of fighting and give me something just to make it go away. I leaned back in my chair. You know what the difference is between construction work and divorce proceedings? What? In construction, when something's broken beyond repair, you tear it down and start over. You don't waste time and money trying to fix something that's structurally unsound. So that's it? 8 years and you just tear it all down? You tore it down, Tessa. I'm just cleaning up the debris. She stood up to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, you were a good husband. Better than I deserved. I know. After she left, I sat in the coffee shop for another hour thinking about the woman I'd married and the stranger she'd become. Or maybe she'd always been that stranger, and I'd just been too trusting to see it. Either way, it didn't matter anymore. The divorce took 8 months to finalize. Hartman tried every trick in his playbook, delaying tactics, frivolous motions, character assassination attempts. He accused me of emotional misuse, financial manipulation, and illegal surveillance. None of it stuck. Dave Patterson might not have been as expensive as Hartman, but he was twice as smart and 3 times as prepared. Every piece of evidence was documented, every legal precedent researched, every procedural move anticipated. The videos were ruled inadmissible, but the hotel receipts, bank records, and text messages painted a clear enough picture. Tessa had committed adultery and financial fraud, which under Michigan law disqualified her from claiming community property rights. She ended up with her clothes, her jewelry, and a 10-year-old Honda Civic that had been paid off years earlier. Everything else, the house, the savings accounts, the retirement funds, stayed with me. Hartman's final bill was $67,000, money Tessa didn't have, which meant she'd be paying it off for years, assuming she could find work. That was the other problem. Word had gotten around, as word always does in small towns. Tessa's affair wasn't exactly a secret anymore, and her theft from our joint account had become common knowledge after the bank filed their fraud report. Carol at the real estate office had let her go quietly, citing performance issues rather than moral concerns, but everyone knew the real reason. Tessa's last day in our house was a Saturday in November. I helped her load her remaining possessions into a U-Haul trailer, mostly out of curiosity about where she was planning to go. Headed back to Sacramento? I asked, carrying a box of books to the truck. Detroit, she said. I found a job with a property management company. Starting over? Something like that. We worked in silence for another hour. She packed efficiently, taking only what was legally hers and leaving everything that reminded her of our marriage behind. When the trailer was full, she stood in our driveway, my driveway now, looking at the house we'd bought together 8 years earlier. It's a good house, she said. It is. You'll be happy here. I already am. She climbed into the rental truck and started the engine. Through the open window, she looked at me one last time. I really am sorry, Ethan. I know. Do you think you'll ever forgive me? I thought about it for a moment. Probably. But I'll never trust you again, and I'll never forget what you did. That's fair. She drove away without looking back, pulling her life behind her in a rented trailer, heading for a city where nobody knew her name or her story. I watched until the truck disappeared around the corner, then went inside to start the rest of my life. 2 years later, I got a call from Jake. You remember Ben Mathers? He asked. That trainer who used to screw around with married women. Vaguely. What about him? He's dead. I almost dropped my beer. Dead how? Car accident in Phoenix. Apparently he was banging some mob lawyer's wife and the husband found out. Ben tried to run, crashed his car into a bridge abutment at 90 miles an hour. Jesus. Gets better. Turns out he had gambling debts all over Arizona. Word is, even if the husband hadn't eliminated him, the bookies would have. After Jake hung up, I sat on my porch thinking about karma and consequences. Ben had spent his life destroying other people's marriages for temporary pleasure, never considering that eventually he'd pick the wrong woman or cross the wrong man. In the end, his arrogance eliminated him.